we shall support you where necessary. Please reach us when you have a challenge.
We have negotiated AGOA for the last 20 years, but we have been lacking goods to export in these markets. We have also been lacking the proper strategy to reach these markets, the right products, the right structure, and therefore pass it. We see it as a great, really pathway to reach these markets. So the markets are there. His Excellency the President has negotiated these markets, and we need to take advantage.
I mean, coffee consumption or coffee value in the Balkans is about $1 billion. We hope once we are in that market with our value-added products, the sky is not going to be the limit. And even to openly tell you, I believe when we're in the Balkans, we shall be the next day in Moscow. We shall be the next day in Kazakhstan. We shall be the next day in Belarus. We shall be the next day in Georgia. We shall be the next day in Siberia. That I can assure you, and it's going to happen.
In more updates, a tragedy struck Nakanyonyi SS in the Nagalamana Chifuma Town Council, Mukono district early this week after students allegedly ate poisoned food. This resulted into more than 300 students get admitted to various health centers in the vicinity. The Kampala Metropolitan Deputy Police spokesperson Luke Owesigire says that the affected students are mainly those in the boarding section, adding that investigations to ascertain the likely cause are underway.
At least 150 students of Nakanyonyi Secondary School in Mukono district have been rushed to different hospitals around Mukono for medical treatment over suspected food poisoning. The situation was tense as ambulances picked up the students, taking them to various hospitals amidst crowds of parents and residents. Inside, doctors, assisted by students, were seen giving first aid to some victims, especially those in critical condition. Parents were seen locked outside the school premises, yelling and begging police to allow them attend to their children. The school chaplain said they still don't know the cause of the problem.
Naye embeera efaanana bweti tugivumirira kubanga si nnungi ku baana abafaanana bwe bati. Abakuumaddembe banoonyereza okulaba ki naye ffe tetumanyi kiki, tulabye bulabi mbeera bwetyo era tukivumirira nnyo mu mbeera efaanana bwetyo, kyennyinza okubagamba kyokka.
Kubanga omuntu w'oddira okola ekintu nga kino owa abaana b'abantu obutwa, lwaki oba okola kino kiba kyebwe kubanga alina ky'omunywa ekirala ennyo ekiri ekyekwesiga nti nedooza abantu bonna balina kudda eri Mukama Katonda.
Mukono Health Director Dr. Stephen Mulindwa says they have not confirmed the poisoning, but suspect the food could have gone bad.
Naye ate bwe yataddeeko caayi babaweereddeko caayi ndowooza yabaddemu poison. So ebintu obyabadde oba tusobola okufuna ku ngeri ya caayi bakebere mu ekyo ekyabaddemu emmere.
Kampala Metropolitan Deputy Police spokesperson Luke Owesigire says as police, they have reports that a section of Nakanyonyi Secondary School students started complaining of stomach pains last evening, and by Thursday morning, most students had acquired similar signs and symptoms.
Services from police rushed to the school and those of Mukono and the Ministry of Health to evacuate some of these students to the different hospitals within Mukono and Nagalama. All I can say is that over 150 students were evacuated, and some have been discharged while others are still receiving treatment.
Oesjire further asserts that police, jointly working with the Ministry of Health, has picked samples from the victims and taken them to Government Analytical Laboratory in Wandegeya to ascertain the cause as investigations into the matter continue.
We don't know what exactly happened, whether the thing that is causing them stomach pains was ingested through food, or it was through another kind of medium. But what we are doing as the police is to make sure that we ascertain what exactly is happening.
The First Lady and the Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, this week advised young people to pursue the path of sexual purity and self-leadership, wise use of media and technology. She also appealed to them to apply a godly view in all their choices to live successful and meaningful lives.
The meeting, the first of its kind, was organized on the backdrop of the Regional Youth Summit for Northern Uganda, held at Sacred Heart Secondary School in Gulu under the theme, My Life, My Responsibility. And this was organized by the Organization of African First Ladies for Development Uganda with support from Uganda AIDS Commission, the National Population Council, and the Global Leadership Summit Uganda. The stakeholders were drawn from the education sector, government agencies, including a cross-section of district and municipal leaders, plus religious institutions from the Acholi sub-region. The First Lady expressed pleasure at meeting leaders with a mutual passion for the protection and development of the younger generation. She noted that God is interested in building a critical mass of leaders, including children, who have a passion for the development of the nation.
I want to use this opportunity really to thank you because you have been here. You've given some of your time to discuss issues that affect our children and to see how we can guide them along their lives so that they become useful, meaningful members of our society and responsible leaders tomorrow. Hope that indeed we are going to give this struggle our all so that we can be proud when we are no longer able to do so much, but when we see these young people in future doing more than we can do now, we'll be proud for that humble contribution we made in the building of our homeland.
She urged the leaders to take their work seriously, saying that her burden for the nation's education drives her to pray every day for the character development of the next generation. Later on, the First Lady went ahead and addressed a mass gathering of over 3,500 student leaders, head teachers, and Gulu district and city officials during the closure of a 2-day life skills training for students from 10 districts in the Acholi sub-region that was hosted by Sacred Heart Secondary School in Gulu. This too was organized by the Organization of African First Ladies for Development with support from the Uganda AIDS Commission, the National Population Council, and the Global Leadership Summit Uganda. And this was held under the theme, My Life, My Responsibility. The First Lady urged the young people to do everything in their means to resist the devil so as to avoid being drilled through the media, modern-day technology, and other evils. She further cautioned them against negative peer influence from the company one keeps on life's journey.
So please resist the root of evil and be cautious of people, including peers, who want to entice you into a lifestyle that disregards your values and your dreams to succeed.
She observed that globalization through the media has the ability to corrupt minds and advised the young people to use the media with caution and wisdom.
When you want to make a very important decision in your life, what do? You may have two options in front of you, and you want to make a decision to take one of the two. what do? The Bible tells us that you let the peace in your heart be the umpire to help you to make a decision. Think about those two options you have. What gives you peace? You may think, I may go there, but I'm not so sure. But here, I feel I can do this. This seems to give me peace. When you have peace about an issue you want to make decisions about, then you take that decision. That's the advice we get from the Bible.
Mrs. Museveni advised the young people to always seek guidance and advice from parents, guardians and their teachers before consulting peers. She explained that parents and guardians are the first guides in a child's life, regardless of their socio-economic status or education level, while the head teacher and teachers are the learner's guide at school. Talking about the True Love Waits cards, a sexual purity campaign which she pioneered in the 90s, Mrs. Museveni pointed out that virginity is God-given, and once given away, it can never be regained. The headmistress Sacred Heart Senior School, Senior Helen Lamuna, appreciated the First Lady for convening the summit and providing young people with life skills to help them build morality and focus on their studies. Baguma William, UBC.
Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF this week captured 14 ADF fighters, including the wife of an ADF commander. This was after a night fire exchange with the Allied Democratic Forces rebel group, who were under the command of Abuakasi along River Taria in Mwalika Valley in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The formerly stronghold ADF rebel base of Mwalika Valley is apparently under the control and occupation of UPDF troops commanded by Major General Dikolum.
This is UPDF mobile unit striking Mwalika Valley after a tip of about ADF rebels' presence within the vicinity. Guns pointing toward the edges of the valley, moving slowly but cautiously maneuvering through the jungles towards River Taria. At the convergence of River Taria and River Semriki, UPDF engaged the first contact of ADF rebels at 11 p.m. Successfully encountered the ADF rebel group under the command of an Arab known as Abuakasi in the valleys of Mwalika.
Pressure over pressure over pressure. We don't give them time to rest. They don't get anywhere to go and look for food. They don't go at night and sleep. In daytime, they don't rest. So it is pressure that has made them get into all that achievement that we have got out of saving these women.
Another section of UPDF mobile unit laid an ambush for the ADF splinter group under the command of the most wanted Abuakasi as the group attempted to cross River Taria.
What has happened is a good lesson that we should insist now to fight both day and night. And now we have already informed our leaders that the operations which the ADF was doing at night to steal food has taught us that we can as well fight them in the night, during the night time, and we are going to achieve more.
Trekking with their families at night, the ADF rebels could not survive the UPDF mobile unit ambush. Major General Dikolum, the commander of Operation Suja, said during the night operation, UPDF captured a number of women from the captivity of the Abuakasi rebel group.
That in a night operation, a very rare operation that we do in the night, ambushed a team of the ADF under the command of Abuakas, and during that process, the main fighting team of Abuakas ran in disarray, and of course the women, who were 15 in number, who could not run, remained behind and they got captured by our forces. It was so lucky that we didn't kill most of them because our target was to kill the fighters. But luckily enough, we realized that they were women. So out of the 15 who were captured, one unfortunately got badly injured and she died. But at least the 14 we captured, 2 of them were a bit injured, which we think we are treating them. But they were all brought out of that mission from Walika Valley.
The wife of ADF Commander Abwakasi was among the 14 captives, and despite the fact that one of the potential captives died in the crossfire, UPDF recovered important ADF materials which could be useful in providing leading clues to the whereabouts of the other ADF commanders still at large. Since the ADF attacked Luwiria Senior Secondary School on 16th June 2023, UPDF has intensified its joint operations, patrolling Malika Valley during day and night. Haruna Mtesa Asira, reporting for UBC News inside DR Congo.
Former President of Forum for Democratic Change political party, Dr. Kizza Besigye, this week called for calm with the party to avoid escalating the already bad situation. The appeal comes in the wake of increasing tension between warring factions within the party, with accusations related to money matters ruling the airwaves. Addressing journalists at Katonga Road offices in Kampala, Dr. Besigye decried tribalism tendencies, denying claims of fighting any eastern or northern leaders within the party.
Weeks after he was named in controversies surrounding mismanagement of affairs at FDC, Dr. Kizza Besigye has broken the silence.
We claim to have internal democracy. We want to have internal electoral processes that can bring in leaderships of the political parties. And because we are open organizations, transparent organizations, it is easy for the hand of the state captor to come in and also become a contestant.
This loud allegation comes just a day after he was accused of selfishness by a former leader in the party.
What you are seeing is people who were objective and had no interest other than building the party and offering alternative for the country have left. People like me, people like Muntu, and many other decent people.
Professor Ogenga Latigo's accusation did not end on Besigye. FDC Secretary General Nathan Nandala Mafabi is equally not off the hook.
For Nandala, it is material and financial benefit. For Besigye, this sense of this is me, this is mine, and what I say must prevail.
But what does Dr. Besigye say about all this?
And I have continuously sounded the warning that if we continue as we are, all political parties will indeed be captured.
This is just a snapshot of the cocktail of concerns surrounding the FDC party. The controversy regarding internal elections is just one of them.
Our own delegates who come from upcountry, they are accommodated in hotels, not by the party but by candidates. Accommodated in hotels, given money and so on. Once you take that path, you know you are on the path of death.
Where did this begin and how did it end up here, to the extent of threatening the party's future? Without mincing his words, here is Dr. Besigye's recollection, with the money matters becoming eminent.
So after 2016, I became firmly clear that I will not be a candidate under any circumstances in 2021.
All said and done, where does the party go from here?
That escalation is likely to continue if leaders don't step back, take a breath, and reconsider what all this means.
Two camps within the party, one for Dr. Besigye and another for Nandala Mafari, obviously exist. Whether the duo will reach a common ground someday is largely dependent on how political maturity will play out. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Former LRA fighters were this week repatriated to Uganda for reintegration into communities after denouncing rebellion. Minister for Defense Vincent Sempija warmly welcomed them at Tebe Air Base, pledging unwavering support and safety during the process. This move is a crucial step towards fostering reconciliation and peace building in the region, as Ivan Kaho reports.
More than 50 ex-fighters, including children and women who were forcibly used as mercenaries in the Central African Republic, have been repatriated to Uganda. These individuals had spent several years fighting with the Lord's Resistance Army in northern Uganda, but decided to denounce rebellion. The repatriation process involved flying these ex-fighters and their families from the Central African Republic back to Uganda. These will be granted amnesty by the government as part of the reintegration process into their communities.
Major General. Is Major General. Yes, sir. This is my land. I have not forgotten, and I have returned home. I was abducted forcefully. It was not my wish. The problem we have with the few people who have remained behind, I want the government of Uganda to know today. Those who have remained behind are not fighting because they want. It is against their will.
This initial phase of repatriation has received a positive response from legislators in the Acholi region, who have expressed their support for the government's commitment to granting amnesty to ex-fighters.
So we still expect the government to send a signal, and a strong signal to the neighboring country, that we are advocating for peace. We are advocating for African peace and pacification. We want to see there is no war in Africa. So for that to happen, we must have cooperations.
The second batch, which is also could be over 100 fighters, including fighters and women and the children, began assembling in Mboki. But we have been requested by the Central African Republic that their repatriation can be done after the referendum, which is scheduled on 30th July 2023.
The ex-fighters, including women and children who are coerced into participating in the conflict, will now have the opportunity to rebuild their lives and reintegrate into society.
I know that you are repentant, I know, in your heart, and will henceforth be law-abiding citizens and participate in development of our country.
The government is actively working on subsequent phases of repatriation, aiming to bring back other former LRA fighters to Uganda. This effort highlights the government's dedication to addressing the consequences of past conflicts and providing opportunities for former combatants to return to civilian life. By offering amnesty and support for reintegration, the hope is that these individuals can leave behind their violent past and contribute positively to their communities.
This function is one of the stages in the disarmament, demobilization, repatriation, and reintegration process.
The successful repatriation and amnesty granted to these ex-fighters will serve as a significant step towards healing the wounds of the past and fostering lasting peace in the region. The repatriation arises from peace talks that were a series of negotiations between the government of the Republic of Uganda and the Lord's Resistance Army rebel group over terms of ceasefire and possible peace agreements. The peace talks also aimed at ending the insurgencies in the northern Uganda, where thousands were killed and millions displaced from their homes while others were injured. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Entebbe.
Thank you so much for the update, Ivan. Now, moving on, 14 girls who were rescued from the ADF rebels by the joint operation of the UPDF and DRC Army have arrived in Kasese district for rehabilitation. The rescue operation was conducted on Monday night by the joint forces against the ADF splinter group led by Boegas Kasi, the influence of River Talha and Semliki, North Kivu province in the eastern part of DRC.
According to the coordinator at the reception center,